Okay,
You know,
that sounds really, really interesting.
since December, and we're now in July.
So now you're saying that this September
Yes,
you're going to be going for the commencement. So that means that it will be a finished product.
yes,
The school will be opening in its doors.
yes.
I'm going to be looking forward to that. Now, before we get back into that, Mr. Baskett, it seems like you've had an amazing experience. As you know, Donald's a great humanitarianism, and he's really passionate about children, about education. Give us your views on what effect the trip made on you.
The fact that the trip had on me was one of the things that I joke often with friends and colleagues is the heat is the first thing that grabs you.
Okay.
As soon as you leave the airplane, it's nice and air conditioned and pressurized, so you're comfortable. As soon as you're out on the tarmac, it's the incredible heat and humidity that grab you and make you realize exactly where you are. One of the things, the joke becomes, it's not so much the joke as, but once you're there and you begin to interact with the people and you begin to see what it is that they're living with day to day. Some of the children are going to school hungry. Some of the children are going to school without shoes, but they're happy and they're thankful. They will sit in the classroom with nothing to do until a teacher is free from a previous class to come by and give them an assignment, but they're thankful. And as someone who is used to, obviously we're used to our accoutrements and our creature comforts,
Of course.
and those things are gone. Of course, our first thought is to complain about, oh well, it's too hot. But these children are thankful, and it alters the way you look at your own life, the way you look at life, the way you look at your circumstances, and you understand that, you know what, I have these circumstances to work with, so why not just be thankful?
Of course.
Once you work that into your spirit, then beyond that, it becomes comfortable. You get to the point where, you know what, if they can sit here and wait for a teacher to come by and give them a lesson, then you know what, I can come here and I can help them build a school.
Exactly. Well, it's that sort of encouragement, Rahim, that you look at most people in the modern society, and the reality of it all is that we really have a lot of things that we take for granted because they're like original things that have air conditioning,
Right.
or the temperament of changing climates. We have a lot of the resources available to us in which we forget about reality from time to time, that those who are really living life in its natural element don't have these convenience of homes.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that everyone who's watching, listening to us, will have a greater appreciation now of their environment, especially when they when they don't have to basically be a victim of certain things that it's not available to them.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that you probably have some highlights of some of the magnificent pictures and shots and things that took place. Tell us about that.
Ghana is, as a photographer, one of the things that I noticed that Ghana is a country of contrasts. As a photographer, you look through the lens and you see different levels of light. You see things that belong in a shot, things that don't belong in a shot, things that will catch your eye, and things that will dissuade you from even wanting to look at them. In Ghana, it's a country of contrast. Contrast on the level of you can drive up a dirt road and you can buy a Lexus from a guy in a sand lot, but you can't find running water.
Interesting.
You can buy a cell phone and fill it up. You can buy an iPhone from a gentleman who is walking by with a hot dog cart, but you can't find running water, or you can't find a completely paved road.
Goodness, that's
The contrasts are so great, and through that lens, when you look at it, you have to say, my God, there's still a work to be done here.
yes.
And it encourages and it drives you. So, when you deal with the heat, and you deal with the long days, and you deal with the long treacherous roads, you realize, I'm willing to deal with this because, as I said before, they deal with this every day. So I'm willing to do this work so that they don't have to.
Wonderful. I think what you just explained to us is that if someone wants to have an example, they can just step outside their backyard and just venture off a couple of miles outside the convenience of their own home, and they'll see that there's nature out there.
Right, exactly.
You know, and they can get an idea of the conditions with the heat, the insects. There are a lot of things in nature that a lot of us, we got so used to living modern lives, we don't venture out to get a different view and perspective on how other people around the world are living. And remember, we can run to a convenience store.
Right.
We can buy a bottle of water. We have running water.
Right.
And it's just those things that are real major perks that we've gotten used to.
Right,
So they
exactly.
couldn't possibly have an idea or imagine some of the things that you're describing.
Right.
So I think that's a pretty natural onset in terms of people saying, listen, I live near the beach, or I live in the city, or I live up in the mountains, but they have modern conveniences that
Right.
these people have no concept about.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about the ceremony. You and Donald have had certain ceremonies, and there were very important people there. There was a
Yes.
chief there.
Sure.
You took some major shots there. At the
Yes.
same time, I noticed that the look on the children's face and the look on the chief, and it's a very interactive community, very interactive village. And you probably can describe that in words that we probably don't have any idea of.
It is the absolute personification of it takes an entire village to raise one child, where the smallest of the small can walk up to the chief and say hello, and he will stop and have that conversation.
Excellent.
One of the things that struck me as being actually most beautiful was walking through the village one day. We had noticed that the children were being dropped off at school. And what happened was their mothers would turn around, go home, and get the food that they had had left over from last night, come back to the village in time for lunch, and share that food as much as they had, whether it was a bag of rice or if it was just a pot of beans. And they would share that with those children to feed those who probably had not eaten that morning or had not eaten the night before. The entire village is involved in every aspect of everyone's life. And it's not an intrusive interaction, but it's more of, you're my brother, you're my sister. I have something you need, you have something I need. Let's work together. Let's make this work together.
And that's the sharing that I think a lot of societies forget about. Sharing is very, very important. It's universal. It's something that doesn't cost very much. Just a little comfort of saying, hello, how are you?
It takes a second to get.
Sometimes it takes less than that. It should be an instantaneous thing that everyone, everyone is bred with sharing and a lot of other things. But I think during the course of life, we all have trials and tribulations. But remember, we're talking about children who are our future. And if it takes an entire village to raise one child, there are villages all across the world. And I think as adults, it's our responsibility to implement that, reinstill it, show a perfect example of sharing and getting involved.
Absolutely. Like, for example, these kids, one day, with our efforts, with the Education Group Foundation's efforts, we may have future doctors who are going to heal and cure major diseases. As you know, Dr. J, I left Ghana 33 years ago due to severe hemophilia, which I had. I have many illnesses, and when I go there, I'm healed. I don't even think about me. I think about the students, and I think of how bright some of these students are. These students take exams. The junior high school students take exams to go into better high schools. And it's almost like a lottery. The top students get chosen to the better schools. And it costs $300 to $400 per semester to have these students go into the high school. But the village, the students can't pay $300 per semester, $400, maybe up to $500, including transportation and textbooks and stuff.
Sure.
So they're left to go out and work on the farm or become beggars or whatever jobs they can to help support their families. So in the junior high school level, it's cut. we're going to make a difference in that, because